This is dedicated to the niggas that was down from day one. Welcome to Death Row. What's going on, folks? I had to remake this video of the Death Row Records in chronological order playlist because I left out way more Death Row Records albums that I didn't even realize there were so many of them, other than the usual. I wanted to make this playlist because I wanted to make the ultimate Death Row Records playlist in chronological order. Every Death Row Records album, compilation, soundtrack, and some even unreleased Death Row Records albums. So it took a while, it took a week, but I finally finished it, and this is like almost 2.5 days worth of Death Row Records songs here. 782 songs in total, and this is a career spanning from 91, or should I say 92, all the way up until today, 2023, with Snoop Dogg manhandling Death Row Records. So let's skim through it, and if you want to peep the complete list, it's in the description below of every Death Row Records album, and including all the albums, the compilation albums, the soundtrack albums, some stuff that are not even like gangster rap, they're just R&B, and that were released on Death Row, and especially a couple or a few albums that were unreleased on Death Row, or unofficial, I guess, but are still in this playlist. So obviously the first one is The Chronic by Dr. Dre. We have Doggystyle as the second one. Above the Rim soundtrack. It's a great soundtrack. Murder Was the Case soundtrack with Snoop Dogg. The Dog Pound Dog Food album. Tupac's All Eyez On Me, obviously. Some more Tupac, the Don Killuminati. The Doggfather by Snoop Doggy Dogg. Death Row Greatest Hits compilation. Danny Boy. Or should I say, Christmas on Death Row, which features a plethora of Death Row Records artists. Didn't know they had that one. Gridlock'd soundtrack, another great soundtrack. Necessary Roughness by the Lady of Rage. Gang-related soundtrack here. Retaliation, Revenge, and Get Back, that's Dillinger. Nate Dogg with G-Funk Classics, Volumes 1 and 2. I think that was on Death Row, not on Death Row. Unofficially, I don't know. Michel'le, Hung Jury. After that, R&B sounding New Jack Swing, I think. I'm not sure. I'm going to listen to that. Tupac's Greatest Hits. We have Suge Knight Represents Chronic, Still Smoking, 2000. Still I Rise, Tupac and the Outlaws. Too Gangster for Radio, another compilation with a plethora of Death Row Records artists. Another Tupac album, Until the End of Time, released after his death. The Dog Pound, 2002. I think that's a compilation. Another Snoop Doggy Dogg album, Death Row, Snoop Dogg at his best. So an album full of Snoop Dogg songs when he was on Death Row. Tupac Better Days. Dysfunctional Family soundtrack, another great movie soundtrack. Tupac New Mix Classics. So even some of these albums that weren't hits or sellers, like the New Mix Classics, I heard really didn't get any great response from listeners. The Very Best of Death Row compilation. Corrupt's album, Against the Grain, from 2005. We have the Death Row Records 15 Years on Death Row compilation, That's from 2006. New Mix Classics again from Tupac and some of his other colleagues here. That's from 2007. Volume 2. The Best of Tupac. Parts 1 and 2. Part 1 Thug. Part 2 Life. So released after the other. P.D. Pablo was on death row. But I think some of his albums weren't officially released. Or maybe they were. Maybe they were unofficial. But there's Same Eyez On Me, which is like a play on All Eyez On Me. And if you see the album cover, he has the Death Row Records chain, kind of like imitating Tupac there. And then he also released Life on Death Row. There was another album by P.D. Pablo. I couldn't find out. I couldn't get it. That was another Death Row album. Maybe unofficial. But it was supposed to be after Life on Death Row. Then we have Snoop Doggy Dogg with Death Row The Lost Sessions Volume 1. Another compilation. Danny Boy, It's About Time. So some R&B from 2010. We have Crooked Eye, Hood Star. Crooked Eye is great. That's a great album. We have Sam Snead with Street Scholars from 2011. Also great. The LBC Crew here. Haven't You Heard? 2011. Damn Near Dead from OFTB. Forgot what that stands for again. I was doing a lot of research on these albums. We have Jewel, Black Diamond, released on Death Row. I think R&B. The Dog Pound with their Doggy Bag compilation from 2012. And of course, up until now, the newer records released on Death Row by Snoop Dogg. Back on Death Row from 2022, BODR for short. We have Jane Hancock with World of Women. And the latest released, October London, The Rebirth of Marvin. So that's every Death Row Records in chronological order. We just skimmed through it. But that's everything that I can find. I don't really think there's any more Death Row Records after that. But if you know something, hit me up. I'm always going to update this playlist. But yeah, 2.3 days. So almost 2.5 days worth of Death Row Records albums and songs and compilations and so forth. But yeah, I've gotten a chance to listen to part of this last weekend on the ride out. But I think I only made it to that. Which one did I know? I only made it to Murder Was the Case. So only like 4 albums deep. But yeah, I'm going to continue listening to this playlist in chronological order. And if you want to see the complete Death Row Records catalog in its entirety, peep the link, peep the description below. It's all there. Everything is painstakingly put together in chronological order, by year, even by month. So everything is pretty much in order and nothing's left out. And yeah, everything's in order by year and by month. So that's it. Death Row Records in chronological order. Let me know what you think. This is every album, every song, and can't wait to blast it some more.